invitation is hard. Respected dignitaries and my dear students, a very good evening to all. On behalf of Basaveshwar Engineering College, Bagalkot and Institution Innovation Council 4.0, I, Dr. Mamta Satreddy, welcome you all for the session on how to plan for startup legal and ethical steps by Mr. Suresh Pattar, co-founder and director, iClimb Systems, Bengaluru, and also he is our proud alumni. Now I take an opportunity to welcome Dr. S.S. Engineering, Principal, Basaveshwar Engineering College, for enlightening this occasion in spite of his busy schedule. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
I welcome today's resource person, Mr. Suresh Pattar, for accepting our invitation to deliver the session. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
I also welcome Dr. Anil Devangami, HOD, Department of AIML and IIT 2.0 Coordinator for this occasion. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
I also
So we have AIML as a separate stream now.
yes.
Yes,
I also take the opportunity to welcome Professor Basavaraj Endigeri, Alumni Coordinator of BEC, and all other faculty members, and all my dear students. Welcome you all.
Thank you, madam.
I feel proud to introduce today's resource person and our batchmate during BE, Mr. Suresh Pattar. He completed his BE in Computer Science Engineering from Basaveshwar Engineering College, Bagalkot from 1992 to 96. He started his career at U&I Spotty Systems, Bangalore, and worked as software engineer from 1996 to 98. Then he joined at Philips Innovation Campus, Bangalore as software engineer from 1998 to 99 and software engineering lead from 2001 to 2003 and software architect from 2004 to 2006. He joined NFC Semiconductors in 2006 as software architect and promoted as senior software architect in 2009 and then as system architect up to 2017. So totally he has 25 plus years of industry experience in consumer electronics, semiconductors, most of the time in startup mode also. So 18 years of Philips and Philips Semiconductors, that is NXP Semiconductors, contributed to establish multiple startup groups right from ground up. More than a decade experience as system architect, he rolled out products for global scale. Many of the solutions gone to tier 1 customers for operating system, mobile and IoT platform products. Now he is self-employed and started his own company, iClimb Systems, in 2017, and they provide the services to customers basically from UK and Europe in Android development, cloud application development, customer software development, information security, software testing, and iPhone operation system development along their own products. For more details and to contact Mr. Suresh, you can also follow him on LinkedIn page with the name that is Suresh M. Pattar. Now with this brief introduction, I once again welcome Mr. Suresh Pattar. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, madam. So it's not brief, it's more detailed. So you covered my complete journey.
Okay.
Thanks for inviting for this session. So it's my pleasure to connect back to the my old so-called now it is university. It was not a university when we started our journey, but it was well-known engineering college during our time. And so it's good to reconnect back and get back to virtually connected with my old academia.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
So let me, what I have planned is, I have some 10 to 12 slides. Let's quickly go through that. Yeah.
We are having just one, that is some talk from our principal sir and alumni.
Hello, madam, Madly, no problem. Let him continue because more important is that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Don't worry. Yeah. No, only one sentence. I will just quickly. Sorry for the interference.
No problem.
Mr. Suresh Pattarji, I heartily welcome on behalf of the BEC family. And we
Thank
are
you.
glad to have you on this day. And our students are really fortunate enough to get connected because we did not have these kinds of facilities and the connects with
Early
our
days.
alumni. And definitely, I know, but they may not understand, but definitely, I know that it's a great thing or how much important it is to spare time in the present day. Because it's easy for someone to spare his money or any other commodity, but it will be hard to spare the time. So with
Yeah.
this note, I would rather say definitely our students will be benefited. And I, on behalf of BC family, thank you. Welcome you to the college. I don't know whether you have visited our college. So I take
Thank
this
you.
opportunity and invite you to the college to be more connected
So I believe
directly.
it's a duty of all senior alumnus members to
Mhm.
contribute back to the college
Yeah,
one or
definitely.
the other way. So
Yes.
at least the senior people should come forward to get into this kind of initiative.
Definitely very kind gesture. And please visit us when you have time.
Sure, sure,
Be
sure,
glad
sir.
to have you on our campus. I do not know when you visited last.
Uh, I
No,
think
I
it was
think,
somewhere in 2002. I think
uh,
Anand sir
uh,
was there that time. That was the last
yeah,
time.
yeah. Because the thing is that from 2003, there have been a lot of developments also. It is not that they have not happened
Uh,
earlier, but it was at a more rapid pace later on because we also had some funding from TechCube. Management also was
mhm.
kind enough to support the infrastructure like buildings. So that way, a lot of developments have taken place since 2000, after 2000, and we are also autonomous college. So we'll be very happy to at least have you on our campus so that
Sure, sure, sir.
it will be
Sorry, in between, I was also not in India, back and forth,
okay.
traveling for a long time,
Mhm,
Europe,
mhm.
US, and these kind of regions, working
So,
across
yeah,
different
very
divisions within Philips. Yeah.
yes. No issues.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
you can
think we
continue,
can
sir. Please.
start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, we're having our alumni coordinator also. Will you want to know just 1 or 2 minutes for alumni activities of our college?
Sure, madam. Yeah.
Yeah, just as mentioned by our principal, Surashji Namaskara. Yes, we are eager to hear you.
Namaskar.
So definitely we are looking forward to connect with you. So those students who are interested to be an entrepreneur, definitely will connect with you. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Okay. So now I request Suresh Patta sir to
Yeah.
start the session.
So indeed, I am a deep tech guy, but translated to entrepreneur as well in last 5 years. Okay. Okay, so let me start. I think it's good to set the context, what we're talking about before getting into the what it needs to establish the startup company. Okay, so if you look at the Indian scenario, what I try to put here is how the whole ecosystem is evolving. Okay, just to make it more understandable to the students, what you see here is somewhere in 2021, we're having almost $600 billion, sorry, $180 billion, 180 plus almost $600 billion contribution from the evaluation contribution from the startup community. Okay, what you see here is the blue one is basically unicorns. Unicorns means these companies are having a turnover of more than 1 billion. So that's almost sizable now. And this, I think, just 2 months back, we reached 100th unicorn in India. So it's taking a fast pace. So in 2021, overall value creation was around $600 billion. Okay. What you see, what is going projected is by 2025, maybe somewhere in 2026 now. So it's going to reach 1 trillion economy. 1 trillion economy is just valuation on the startup ecosystem, which are generated out of India. Okay. So it's almost one of the major drive for 5 trillion economy for India. So there is a lot of things are happening right from the policies from the government, and a lot of private companies are coming forward to launch the hackathons, cohort sessions. So definitely it's a quite conducive environment to see that how the whole ecosystem is evolving. So what I try to put here is, yeah, it's more all we reached the 100th unicorn. It is just to give an idea how the whole ecosystem is taking shape, and more entrepreneurs are getting into this journey. And definitely, it's going to be the one of the major drive for the drive for the contribution to the Indian economy. Okay. Quick glance. It's not just on the India, but how the overall things are taking shape and how, especially in India, things are going on. So if you look at the global mega trends, so there's quite a lot of digital disruption across the industries. Okay. So it doesn't matter you name any industry. So right from food industry to the tech industry, any kind of thing. So everything is getting digitized. Okay. And you see that another big drive is happening is electrical vehicles and renewable energy. So electrical vehicles is a big drive. So India is it's definitely is one of the immediate bus and what we're trying to catch. And definitely quite a lot of investments are happening in terms of R&D, in terms of production facilities, especially Ola, and also one of the thrive is for these automotive companies is to roll out the two-wheelers for the global market. Okay. Imagine you can think of the kind of the drive it's going to happen in coming days. So if you see the next one, of course, it's good that the AIML HOD is also present. So we are moving away from computing era to intelligence era. Okay. What we see is the industrial evolution in the past, and most recently in last one decade, it was more of a computing era, right? So where we are heading is now intelligence era, which is mainly going to be the every dumb device, whether it's you are in home or it's in the outside, everything is going to be intelligent going forward. Okay. So this is one mega trend, what's happening. Now come to the India, what's happening. So India is a 1.4 billion population. There are abundant problems. We have to see every problem as an opportunity. So that means we have a lot of opportunities because there are a lot of problems to be solved. If you see the GDP growth wise, we're at average rate 8. Of course, it's reduced now. It's 8. Otherwise, it's 8.9. So that means for 1.4 billion population, 8.8% of the GDP is a small number. Okay. So it's quite a lot of push from the government, the supportive startup policies from government. If you have seen or aware, there is a Startup India program is going on. So and there is a Startup Karnataka as well. So Karnataka being the frontier in the startup ecosystem. So quite a lot of the encouragement policies are rolled out, and there are a lot of focus on startups, startup ecosystem. So quite a lot of private companies, whether you take the semiconductors or any production companies, especially the companies who are involved in R&D, launching a lot of cohort programs. Okay, what it means, for example, if it is you need access to the mobile platforms, the hardware coming from semiconductors, all the tier one semiconductors like Qualcomm, NXP, these guys are launched the cohort programs. It happens once in a year. And what happens is if you take your ideas there, if it gets selected, definitely it's great access to their platforms. They will do quite a lot of things. I will come back to that. Okay. And what I see another mega trend, basically now the next level of innovation is going to happen in tier 2 and tier 3 cities within India. Okay. So it's also a big opportunity for college. I think whole strategy needs to be thought of, just moving away from the academics and how it can do a more of a hand holding for the academics as well, for the students who want to be a budding entrepreneurs. So definitely this, I think one of the session, what's happening today. And if you see that, if you are aware what's happening in terms of the tech industry, recently quite a lot of semiconductor production policies are revamped. What it means, if you are doing any semiconductor design here, it is linked to the incentive. If you are doing any production, it could be chip or especially any electronics product. So that is also linked to the scheme, incentive scheme. It's offered by the government, which is quite huge. And huge fund is allocated for that. So especially now, India is also getting into strategic direction in semiconductor production. So if you are following on the semiconductor industry side, the first in the semiconductor production industry is going to be set up in Mysore. Okay. Of course, the technology is not at the same as what Taiwan is offering, but that definitely this is going to be a good start. Okay, they are going to invest 23 billion. So most above all, what I see that in the coming generation, at least in the recent days, the appetite to achieve more and more risk takers compared to a decade back. So what I mean to say here is quite a lot of young guys are coming to the mainstream into the startup ecosystem. And also quite a lot of students, especially what I'm seeing within in Bangalore, getting into entrepreneurship at the early stage, who are in final year and all. Already they are working on their final project. Final year project itself is a kind of a startup idea. So it's good to get into that mode. Okay. So overall, there is quite a lot of opportunities. So grab the opportunities. All you need is a great idea. Okay. So there are some myths. Let me try to address. Okay. To build a startup needs a deep pocket. What it means here is yes, I need at least few lakhs of money to start my own company. And the think that yes, we need to build a full product before we take it to the market. Okay. So sometimes we think that it's not the right time to start the startup. Example, because economic slowdown is happening, it's not the right time to start. Because of the COVID pandemic, it's not a good time to start. So these kinds of myths are there. Sometimes we think that we should build a product with a great technologies. Okay. Uh, we also think that yes, I'm still in a budding stage. I'm a student, so definitely I'm too young to start a startup. So sometimes people thinks the senior people. So having own startup, I can work at my own pace. Okay. And having a own startup, I can relax as a boss. Okay. But what I want to say is none of these myths are correct. Okay. By and large, almost all these myths are wrong. What it means on the other side. You don't need a major investment these days because looking at the ecosystem support in terms of the governments, state governments, central governments, a lot of R&D organizations set up their R&D centers in India, already offering investment in you. Okay. So great idea needs only MVP. MVP means a minimal viable product. So you need not to build the full product. It should be one level above the demo. The demo which should be a product maturity. But as long as you are able to demonstrate your key one or two ideas, definitely it's good enough. So in the West side, especially in Europe and US, the people sell their product ideas on the PPT. Okay. So because there the ecosystem is well established and people understands the ideas better. Whereas in India, the ecosystem is just evolving. Okay. Lot of FDIs are coming into the startups. Okay. Solving the untouched great problem always leads to a successful product. That's what I perfectly believe. Because unless what you need to ask is, if I don't solve the problem, or if I go with this particular problem, don't go with the solution. Never. Okay. If you are addressing a critical problem, is it something is totally hampering your customer? So solving that, can he gets into the benefit of 80%, 90%? Directly or indirectly in terms of his revenue or in terms of his overall way of working, overall way of the whole process. So look into that side. Okay. So there is no age limit. Of course, you need to be measured to set up a company. 18 plus years is a good enough. Okay. What I wanted to say that definitely being a startup guys, you cannot relax. You end up in working around the corner because you will be wearing a multiple hats and you will be limited with resources. In technology, high-tech industries, you must have to be a last man in your organization. So what I mean here, definitely the traditional way of organization where you try to control the kind of the boss and employee relation, definitely it will not work. So the whole founding team should start a mindset, chief servant of the organization. And you need to take the whole team into confidence because startup won't be as big as hundreds or 50 members company. So when you have a 10 members company, it's like You have to look at it as your another family or family extension. So this is more or less in terms of the reality. So don't get blocked by the myths, what I listed, or any of such kind of things. But it all end of the day depends on what kind of passion you have, what kind of the energy you have under the belly, and so that you want to really realize your dream as an entrepreneur with great ideas. Just follow your passion on that. Okay, so now I'm more getting into what it takes to set up the startup, how you should prepare yourself. Okay, it need not to be at like in third year you need to like some people thinks that okay I need to start a company and I need to jump out or incomplete the education and get into building the companies. Like definitely don't do that kind of things like what Bill Gates did. Okay, so it's more of you need to carry this passion along with you. Okay, what I mean to say, you start thinking in that direction, like what kind of problems, how we can address it. Okay, and is it something like innovative idea and all. So that's what this slide is going to cover up. It's a bit clumsy, but let me spend more time on this because this is a whole crux of the today's discussion. So very first thing is you need to get into ideation process. So what it means is a part of when you select your final year project or your third year project, then continued by the fourth year project, you should think beyond what you do at traditional projects. Okay, you start looking into the kind of ideation. Okay, what the part of this process, what you have to do, you have to do quite a lot of market research. Okay, so what you want to build, is it something the innovative solution in the technology standards, or you want to build the innovative product itself? Okay, technology standards means, for example, if you see that 5G, what's happening in 5G, any extension that can bring in the revolutionary use cases in the ecosystem. It could be in the disruptive approach in the IoT system. It could be a disruptive solution in securing the nodes, such kind of things. Okay. But whereas in terms of these are more of targeted to B2B business. B2B means it's a business to business. So you're not directly talking to the end customers at all. So here normally your customers will be R&D companies. It could be semicon or any other. So mechanical design or R&D company. Okay. But your ideas or your you have such kind of innovative ideas. Definitely you should reach out those companies because they are going to be your target customers. So perform the basic diligence. What is important is at the ideation stage is it's really important you do thorough diligence. Like, is it something, the idea, what we are creating, it's solving the perennial problem of a customer. You need to identify the customer, but we'll see that how to identify the customers. But is it something top rated one problem what you are trying to address? Okay, because that's important. Addressing a simple problem is will not help. You have to really take a complex problem and try to address that. Okay. So at least build 2 to 3 ideas by doing all this process. Build a couple of ideas. Okay. And have a micro idea which can be scalable later. So just to give examples, how Google started the journey, it is just the search box in the toolbar of the browser. That's where they started the journey, right? But today, if you see that where it has grown, okay. But eventually, they didn't promote the product as a browser product. They always promoted this product as a as kind of the advertisement product, okay. And then they scaled up. They started with a small plugin in the browser, and post to that, they built their own browser. Within the browser, they brought in a lot of intelligence in terms of it could be now it is up to the AM and up to a layer 64 level of filtering brings up the quite lot of intelligence what the individual user does, and then the browser follows the interest of the user. Okay, and also what kind of advertising to be pushed to this particular customize advertisements to the customer. So they scaled up, but never ever think that building a big product in the early stage. Okay, and definitely that's a overkill for any startup. Okay, So once you complete the ideation process, the second step would be idea validation. Okay. So what you have to do is whatever ideas you have shortlisted in the step one, you really need to validate these ideas. First of all, you need to see that is it a novel idea or it's something already set up, people are doing it. This solution is available in the market. Okay. Because then it becomes a commodity. If you are building such solution, definitely it's like success rates are going to be minimal. The reason is it's not a novelty idea. Already a set of people or the companies are working on these kind of products, and definitely they will be ahead of the market as compared to you. Never ever get into that kind of thing. Okay. Then you try to identify the market segment. So none of the product, if somebody says that yes, this product is for any market segment, definitely sure this product is going to fail because none of the products are designed for the general market. So what is important is you need to narrow down your focus. What is that two or three customers and do the segmentation of the market, whether it's going to address the retail industry or whether it's going to address the fintech industry. You need to shortlist that which is your target customer. Okay. One of the way of validating it, it's good to consult couple of customers. Okay. And of course you sign the NDA and all with these customers, but just by explaining the customer easy ready to buy the product, or at least he says that yes, I'm interested in this product. Take here is the LOI. LOI is basically a letter of interest. Once the product is ready, you come to me. I want to buy the product. So what it means, that's a solid validation. Basically, what it happens is, if customer is, then you really hit the real problem and where customer is showing the interest. Okay, because customer don't have a solution the problem he is facing, and badly it's impacting his whole business or process. Okay. Without seeing the product, if some customer is ready to do the pay upfront pay, or ready to invest, or ready to issue the letter of interest for this kind of product, so that's a kind of a testimony for your product that yes, it's the product which is going to fly. Okay. So overall, the idea validation process needs to be very rigorous. So that's exactly because step one, step two are really key, because as you go into the next step, it costs and you strategize and build the company later stage. And any failure at the subsequent stage, it's not advisable, but it's good to do a step one and step two process very methodically. So there is nothing wrong. It's like at your level, if you consult some of the senior people who are there in the industry, who are experienced in the product, just to review the product ideas. I think that's something kind of thing. So that's also my proposal to the institute, how this can be strategized and how this evaluation process can be done from the luminous guys. But overall, whether you do it in your own network or talk to some of the customers and try to testify this product first, it's going to fly or not. So that gives a confidence. It's like product is going to fly or not. The whole objective of step two is to validate the product, what you have identified, and see that it really has a potential market. Okay. So once the product or idea is validated and you already nailed down, yes, these are the product we should build. Okay. So next step is we should get into building the MVP. So building the MVP means is, as I told some time back, it's a minimum viable product. You need not to build all 100 set of features for this product because that's also overkill. It takes a time. Okay. What you should do is identify the top three killing features of the product, what you are trying to bring in. So build only those features. It's kind of a demo version, but it clearly articulates what you are trying to address, and these three features are ready. Okay. So at this point in time, definitely it's a good time to register a company. And if there are multiple guys are working together, it's important you all agree on equity. So equity is basically what is that partnership model? All of you are sharing the equal profit, or somebody sharing high due to also the role they are playing. But all that needs to be agreed, and you need to register a company at this point in time, because down the line, it's going to be a complex topic. Moment you become a successful and it starts generating the money. So unnecessarily, the company gets disturbed because of the wasted interest of the individuals. So avoid that part. Okay. And registering companies, it's not, it won't take so long time. So it's a month time is good enough if everything is in place. So what you have to do part of this building the MVP process, you also need to start the business plan. So what it means, who are your customers? Identify the key customers. Okay. And this is also the phase where your team is implementing. Okay. Apart from the founding team. So if there are some couple of guys are working along with you as a partner or as an employee, it's always makes sense to keep the whole team motivated and drive the whole team to the close finish. It's important. Okay. So avoid major hiring at this point in time. Definitely, if you ask me, we should not get into this phase. Don't hire people like 10. We need 10 people, 15 people, whatsoever the reason. So that's not the idea. So advisable thing is you as a key founders, you should build yourself with a minimal investment, this product. Okay. So once this initial product is built, which is kind of a demo, but product quality worthy, shows the key features which are going to address the perennial problem of the customers what you are targeted. Okay. So it's exactly not go to the market, but this is the early stage of go to the market and reach out the customers. So once whoever has shown the interest in stage two, reach out those customers and say that yes, here is a product, and go and showcase to them. Okay. And what we should do is you should not do it with n number of customers. Okay. And you should nail down top 5 customers and settle down for 1 or 2 customers. Okay. Because you are in the early stage. And if you try to meet the 10 customers, all 10 customers will show the interest and they will come out with their own list of additional features. And definitely you'll be not ready to serve all the 10 customers. So definitely from the execution point of view, your company is not well equipped at this point in time. But what is important is demonstrate this whole thing with 1 or 2 key customers. Okay. What it means is once you acquire these 2 customers, make sure that the flawless deployment and execution. So it should not become a mature product. Basically, there is quite a lot of immaturity and that whole interest will go out. So that's also the reason when you're sampling the product, do it with 1 or 2 companies or customers and deploy it in their environment and execute it thoroughly. Okay, that's a key for the success. So, moment you deploy these customers or get the confidence of these customers, you never know they may turn to be your investor, or some, and definitely they will become an ambassador for your product. So they will tell into the similar industries, say that yes, here is for this particular problem, here is a solution, and this is a company. So automatically that funnel starts getting filled. So you need not worry on that part. Okay. So what's important? Of course, there are 6 stage story, but I think once you do these 4 steps, all you need to do is you are almost your half the journey is done successfully. From here, what is important is scale up the product and incrementally. So you have to grow organically. It's not that in next 1 quarter we have to reach 100 customers. So it's end of that it is a trade-off between how many customers you can address. Even though there is a big demand, that's not a good idea to go for the inorganic growth. Then eventually there will be a big hit if something goes wrong. Okay. So because everything costs, right? So you need to be very meticulous and you need to clearly plan the business. Okay. So this is one of my favorite slide. Of course, it's a technique from how to build the business plan. There will be quite a lot of hanging threads when you start building the product. Okay, so it is important to ask each of these questions. See that what is that the problem you are trying to solve. Okay, and how we are solving it. What are those top 3 features? That's what you see that in the solution domain. How we are going to address these problem with respect to using your three features. Okay. Value proposition. So, for example, if some similar competitor comes in the market, what is your edge? What is your value proposition compared to the existing product? There might be already existing product, but which is not serving the purpose, and customer is willing to switch to this. But unless there is a value proposition, customer will say that yes, it's a fantastic product, but I don't want to buy. Okay, so that's really important. Okay. So as I told in the first go, don't go for big laundry list of customers saying that yes, for example, if you take the Urban Clap is one of the app, mainly a kind of integrated app, where solution provider and customers. So they brought in kind of the different services. But initially, if you see that they brought in two or three services only. So from there they scaled up. Okay. So what it means is, what is that customer segment? As I told, it's only the fintech, or it is going to, or it is a generic product which addresses the fintech market, the hotel business, travel business, or so you need to understand that the simple thing could be identity of a person. Okay, you are trying to manage it with face identity, right? So it's like it's a generic market. So this can go as a kind of a basic check-in, check-out feature for the customer who is coming to the hotel, or it could be the security feature. Somebody who is getting into the Ola or Uber, they can really validate the driver and say that okay, this car is safe and is a validated driver. So in that way, you need to see who is the prime segment, what we're trying to address instead of having the 10 list of customer segment. Okay. So it's important. This is directly mapped to the what is that capacity you can roll out or meet the customer needs. You plan accordingly. Okay. Most important, of course, the team is the key focus, because end of the day, team is the execution engine. Because one side you promised multiple things to the customer, and the other side, the end of the day, it's the team, including you, who need to deliver, who need to build the right solution, who need to build the robust and stable product. Okay, and this is something like it's kind of your blueprint is ready, your architecture is ready. Now we started building the house. Okay, so it's important that this crew is at any cost. So you should not compromise in terms of it's like the one should not feel unhappy. Okay, or something went wrong. It's like that whole tempo has to be there. At least that whole initial product is built. And end of the day, these are the guys who becomes the seniors down the line once the product scales up. Okay, it's important to retain the top talent. Definitely, it's like if you have a kind of equity shares, unless there is good interest or yes value addition for these kind of key guys, why they will be staying with you for a long time. Okay, but this is something guys who does the startup mainly coming out from the industry, for them it is. But you also need to plan. End of the day, the whole family has to benefit. Okay, so that the more you take care of them, definitely they take care of your product and execution. So next one is a channel. Okay, how you are going to promote this product, whether it's like you do the online marketing, cold calls, or offline. That's something. It depends on the kind of product you are trying to launch. Okay, but most of the day, most of these days, it's more of a digital marketing. If the solution is targeted for multiple regions, multiple countries, you can always do it through the digital marketing, and where people come across the world and they see that what kind of solution is available, provided your solution is targeted for the global market. Okay, so most important thing, the revenue model. Okay, so revenue model is because end of the day you're spending on the product development. You need to define this. It's like how and when the revenue start flowing in. So it's important initially you arrange the fund, one or the other means, but end of the day, to scale up and move forward, definitely you need the revenue stream. So it's important to identify what is that revenue model. So revenue model is basically you want to sell the product one time and get the money, or is it a kind of a scalable platform where you offer the digital services if your product is like that? Okay, for example, if you see Ola or Uber, so they are kind of the services built on the platform, right? They charge you based on the volume. So what's your model? Like the you want to charge per user, or you want to charge for 1,000 users, or you want to license the product. So you need to brainstorm on that. Again, it's important involve some person who is really from business development background, who understands the ecosystem better and seek their help. Okay. So then market. Okay. So marketing is basically how we are going to market the product through what channel and all, which we discussed already. But how we are going to reach the customer and what is the strategies to market this product, or you want to deploy initially kind of a free trial and let it generate the enough interest. That's exactly what Ola or Uber did, right? So initially they offered a ride almost at free of cost. So now after 2 years of burning the cash, now they have a large pool of customers in terms of millions, and so they can define the charge based on the service. Or it could be Swiggy or these kind of guys. Because Swiggy was damn cheap almost 2 years back, and today if you see that it's the prices on service depends on what time you order. Okay, if the weekend costs are different. If it is night, the costs are different. So you can build upon these things, but end of the day, first you need to acquire the customers. That should be the focus. And it's like you need to see that you want to deploy the product at zero cost or minimal cost. Based on that, you need to strategize and the marketing. Okay. So external risk, this is also important, okay, because I personally had one experience part of one of our product. Okay, it's a really important what kind of risks you are carrying. Is it a risk of investor, or is it a risk of finance? One point in time, you completely you lose all your whatever money invested if there is no revenue inflow. So how we are going to do this? Okay, or you have enough money, the investors also there, but if the product itself is depends on certain government decision, then that is also equally bad. Okay. Just to give an example, so in 2017, we had been selected by Qualcomm Semiconductors, as one of the top 5 finalists in India. Okay, and the product was pretty much innovative product, and we tried to address. Our idea was to bring in the Aadhaar authentication solution, so which is based on the fingerprint and Face ID, and there was nobody in the market who was offering the complete hardware solution, software solution, which goes and connects to the Aadhaar servers and does the authentication. And with the hard way, with this Qualcomm incubation, we built this product. Okay, almost the deal was finalized with couple of tier one OEMs as well, who wanted to introduce this product to the banks and all. So in 2018, if you are aware, Supreme Court gave a verdict. So now Aadhaar ecosystem is not accessible to private entities. So that's kind of the big hit. So you didn't do anything wrong, but you built a product which is based on the government ecosystem. Okay, because that's something completely out of your control. You can't do anything. So those are the things should be added as a risk. Okay, do you want to build such products? So my suggestion is make sure that you're not building such products, because unless there is all legal clarity is there on that kind of product, so you should not get into that venture. But that's the kind of risk you are running. It's important to identify these risks and closely monitor them. And sometimes you monitor also, it's of no use, because this kind of decisions directly impacts the total available market, and your whole market size, what we call it as a TAM, is come down, and sometimes it is really difficult and non-viable to operate into this business area itself for the small companies. Okay. So the last one, what is the key performance indicator? Okay. So key performance indicator, it's basically in terms of the product performance, how I look at it, product performance and reliability. So let's say your solution is going to be deployed in metro, okay, metro station. You might have seen the how big is the queue in the metro, right? It's like so within 200 to 300 milliseconds, the whole transaction should be completed, and within a second, that gate has to be opened so that passenger can pass through. Okay, so if your product performance is, let's say that it takes 5 seconds, it directly impacts because it's not an efficient system. So key performance indicator is basically a kind of product you are building. Whereas same thing is not so relevant if you are building the app and you press the key and the transaction, the financial transaction or payment transaction happened in 3 to 4 seconds, that is still acceptable because it's completely initiated on your phone and it's that much wait time should be okay. Okay. So hope you got what I mean. The key performance indicators are specific to the product and where and what kind of segment you are addressing and what kind of the stringent requirements are there and where you need to ensure that you meet those performance or you outperform those requirements. It's important because these things comes into a picture right from the product definition to product architecture. So if you are defining the multiple layer product architecture, definitely that has an impact on the performance. So it's a trade-off how to design the product and all. But unless you bring in these requirements part of the initial phase, definitely you fail to identify this, and it's too late to fix those kind of issues once the product goes to the deployment and it's already trialed and it miserably fails. So take care of those kind of things. It's must one has to take care of that. Okay, so that's more or less how you need to plan for your product and how to go about multiple steps incrementally and how to plan your prepare the business plan for your product. Okay, so now I'm coming to the interesting topic because one of the thing is how we're to sustain, how we're going to build the MEP product, basically minimum viable product for the idea what you think. Sometimes it is not just money because it's also access to the technology. For example, if you need to access the complete hardware platform of the cellular phone, definitely it's not available to the mass market. Okay, but if your idea is more inclined towards that, and there is a strategically you need to think of. Okay, if you see that today most of the companies are starting the hackathons are started at the national level, state level, then the national level cohorts are kick-started by quite a lot of R&D organization. So it's important, let's say that as I explained, so if you need access to the mobile platform, then definitely mobile R&D companies who are in the semiconductor industry. So it could be Qualcomm or it could be MediaTek. So these kind of guys. So it's important to get into those kind of cohort sessions. And if your idea is really good, so definitely you get selected. Of course, it's a tough competition. Like for example, out of 500 after multiple level of screening. So eventually they select 5 companies. So what happens part of this? Okay, so part of this basically it is not just access to the technology and platforms. There will be a kind of their business development manager get associated with that. So one of the interesting thing is you are setting a new directions for this platform. Okay, so far it was a phone platform. As I mentioned, we built a Aadhaar authentication platform. So this is completely a new product derived out of this platform. Without what is the benefit for these kind of R&D companies? They are not investing on this platform, but from the existing platform deriving the new product. Okay, and definitely it's of good interest from their side as well. So definitely their business development manager will pitch in who is already a good support for you. There will be a the key technical people like senior architects and all will support you if you hit with any major issues and all. Okay, they will support you in doing the hardware design. Okay, and overall to build to ensure that in 6 to 8 months you will be coached in terms of which customers you need to target, and they take you to the customer. Okay, then they allow access to their labs. Go and work and build your prototype, initial prototypes. Okay, then basically they will also do a hand holding in terms of do's and don'ts, all those kind of things. So it's normally it's a long program. Normally companies will do it for 9 to 10 months program, but I can say that once you come out, you'll be a more matured entrepreneur, and your total the way of you look into the products, it will be a great deal. So it's more or less you are market ready, not the product, but as an entrepreneur. So you know all the crux and tricks of the business as well, which is much, much important. Okay. So the next thing is register your company under Startup India. Okay. So what's important is, of course, the tax benefit, but that's not of great interest, but that's also important. You get the tax benefit, the 3 years of tax benefit holiday for any startup company. So you need not to pay the tax. Okay. Apart from that, if you see the startup Karnataka, they also bear the cost if your idea is really patentable and if it is shortlisted by the committee. All the cost, I think up to 3 lakhs, they give a grant to file your patent. But having registered your idea in the company in the Startup India, if you are filing your patent at the India level, of course, that should be the starting point. When you file the patent and you can really push through Startup India program, they take it on a priority and they process the patent. And if it is really patentable idea, they issue the patent within no time. Otherwise, these patent processing itself takes 1.5 to 2 years. So unless the patent is secured, it's not a good idea to launch the product. It's kind of a blocker. You cannot launch a product. So that's the reason you try to make use of these kind of a government frameworks which are defined exclusively for the startup. And overall time to roll out a product it will come down due to these various schemes and policies deployed by the government. Okay. Okay, look, IPR company who helps in filing the patent. So IPR is intellectual property, like whatever idea you thought of, which turns to be patentable. So there are quite a lot of companies who also do a better offering in terms of or exclusive discount for the startup companies. Like if they're charging 1 lakh for startup companies, it will be 20,000. There is also different. It's like you need not to go in one go. First of all, what they can do is they can search and tell that is it a patentable idea or not. For that, charge won't be much. You don't try to search yourself. Okay, that's not good idea because some of the browsers or they have intelligence to extract the keyword searched and eventually it should not become somebody else's IP. Okay. There are special search engines for the IPR search, which are accessible to only these firms. Okay. What's important is because in step one, you need not to go and file the patent at the global level. Okay. The step one, what you can do, first secure your idea within the country. And of course, if the idea is targeted for Indian ecosystem, and definitely you need not to file this patent in the global forum. But what happens once you file and patent is granted by the region? Let's say in this case it's India. Your patent is protected for next 2 years global level as well. So you get a window period of 2 months. 2 years. So by that time you already scaled up. Your product is in the market. And spending that additional 5 lakhs or 8 lakhs rupees to secure this IP at the global level, if it is really turns to be a good idea at the global level, you have a window period of 2 years. During that time, you can go and secure this. Okay. So that's what the important thing is. The idea what we are targeting is for the local market or the global market. So if that is the case, you still go ahead and file it in Indian patent attorney. So you get a window period of 2 months. If it is patent is awarded, it's like no one else can implement it across the globe in any regions for 2 years. If someone implements, so you have all rights to fight the case. So this is one of the important aspects. So that's also once you have the patent, it's kind of your product is positioned uniquely because no one else can get into that space. Either they have to do it bit differently, what you are doing, or they have to get this kind of the licensing from you. In the licensing itself, you can make quite a lot of revenue, provided if you don't want to give any license, yes, you have the monopoly of the product itself. Okay, but think in those directions. It's important. Okay. So next step is yes, you did your business plan, you tried with a couple of customers, you deployed it properly, then you secured the patent. So then comes how do you scale up? Okay, because normally you start with the bootstrapping stage. It doesn't needs a big investment other than your own investment and effort. So that can be easily achieved through angel investors, or it can be go into the cohort and all. Definitely, people fund up to uh, 10 to 15 lakhs, especially K-Start launched by the Karnataka government. So that's a bit sizable. If your idea is really good, so they invest nothing less than they invest up to 30 lakhs as well. Okay, but it's important you go through that process and win it, and then it will be released in a phased manner. So, in fact, for one of our product, we won the basically K-Start award, and where it has been funded by Karnataka government. Okay, so it's like initial one. So it's kind of in terms of it depends on the product, as I told. That's why I told you aim for a product which can be implemented in micro level, but should be scaled up in the later stage. Okay. When you implement at the micro level, definitely it won't be of huge cost. Okay. And that can be manageable within yourself, or some investment is, or the fundamental basic, the angel investment itself is coming from the university or from some different agencies, or it could be by the institute itself. That's, I think, another thought process where the institute has to think kind of the incubator program, and whatever these companies are doing, so do the similar kind of exercise, and if there is a possibility to allocate some fund to build the initial prototype and all, so definitely it will it will give speed, and it will also give the agility to do it at the institute level itself. Okay, so once you achieve this stage, the bootstrapping, and you build the MVP product, so next stage is it's like taking it to next level. That's what I mentioned. Go through the kind of accelerator or incubator program. It's not only just building the product, but you get the complete the recipe of how to do the business development, which customers you need to meet, because they already have existing customers, so they will take you to the customers as well. Okay. So then the third step comes basically, yes, now you did the MVP product demo to the couple of customers, deployed and successful. So now it is time to scale up. So scale up, it could be multiple things. Scale up in terms of the business, and which internally maps to that you need to scale up your complete resource. It could be number of employees you are going to deploy, for them you need to spend. Then it could be a kind of a marketing cost, or it could be hiring a business development managers, marketing people. Okay. So multiple things, or it could be office space, all these things. So at this scale, definitely you cannot manage on your own. So this is a time where you should think of the kind of go for the corporate finance. Even for startup, there is a good ecosystem from the banking side as well. But what is important is it's a good time to go for venture capitalist. So venture capitalist it's basically is not just pure just investor. He also brings in the value addition to the product, because he will have access to the market, and he already ventured with set of other customers for some other products. They see the right fitment of your product, because if he's investing, you assume that yes, it's not just because he's investing, it's a novelty product, but it's also product. He sees that there is a great future for this product in the market. So eventually he'll be your kind of like access to the customers, and who has a close network of customers, and take you to these customers and scale it up at the rapid growth. Okay. And only these people can do that. So obviously what you lose in return, it's basically we need to shell the certain part of the equity, and definitely end of the day, for that evaluation happens, and based on the evaluation, they invest for the future growth and all. Okay. And once that is done, so it's like you're on the full-time journey of the product. Okay. Once the product picks up really well, so the option is basically either you sell this product to the bigger customer, or you yourself want to go for much bigger scale and you want to be a next level entrepreneur. Okay. So that's up to the dreams and what you'd like to do. So, but those possibilities are there. Okay. Okay, and so it's like this is one of the research report what I try to pull in here. So what are those top 5 factors in success of the startups? And this is a proven recipe where more than 200 companies have been succeeded in this. Okay. So what is important is time to the product. Okay. So one of the important thing is time to product, timing of the product into the market. If you lose that window, for example, most of the consumer products gets launched during Christmas time across the globe, or it could be Diwali in India, okay, where the lot of gifts are purchased by the to give it to their relatives and all. If it is that kind of product, what I'm telling, if you miss the Christmas or if you miss the this year Diwali, it's going to be the next year Diwali only. There is no another Diwali. Okay. So what I mean to say here is how critical is the timing window. So at any cost, the timing window has to be met and it has to be planned so meticulously you don't miss the window. Okay. Because that attributes to the 42% of the success of the startup. Okay. That is the highest one. So timing is really, really key. Okay. So next thing is team and execution. As I told, because you are completely relying on your team who is delivering the product and executing well within the time with right quality, and we should go to the market for sampling. So never ever ignore this part. So periodically seek your team support in terms of in terms of any new ideas from them, not on the product, but in terms of it's like basically they want to bring in some improvement in the whole execution. Like for example, it could be as simple as that the testing of the product can be brought in by 1 week. So if somebody has such innovative idea, encourage that, because eventually it pulls out 1 week of time for your complete validation cycle, right? So you need to ensure that and rely on team heavily, and it's important that they are the prime focus as well after the timing. Okay. So third one is yes, of course, idea has to be there. 28% attributes to the idea. How good is the idea? But above all, even though idea is good, so if you see that almost 74% is attributed to the timing and team. Okay. So last but one, of course, the business model and funding. Business model is basically it's like how you want to design the business model. Is it a recurring model or is it a one time or is it a license based? So those are things you need to strategize as a part of the business model. The funding is a one, yes, of course, to scale up and move to the next level. So you need to go for the funding and you need the funding. So what it means is percentage that is the last item to be focused, because there are enough guys in the market who are ready to fund if the idea is really great. There are many foreign direct investments. Companies are sitting for the investing in the startup, but just because they are not getting the right ideas, and it's not so intensive at the moment. But moment they see there is an opportunity, there is a growth. End of the day, it's their money. They want to grow the money, and definitely they will invest. Funding is not a great problem. Okay, so that's all about how you need to plan your startup. Of course, it's a continuous journey. There is no the recipe. If you follow this 1 to 10 step, you'll be successful. As and when you come across the bottlenecks, you hit the issues. So you need to navigate through. But these are by and large guidelines, which will help you to do the or reduce the number of mistakes what you do. Okay. So the next step is it's more of a ethics, because this is one of the important thing. basically the ethical steps are important because you have to be transparent to the customers. Okay. And it's like you cannot lie something to the customer because that's kind of it breaks the basic trust level. Once the trust breaks, the business breaks. So never ever do that. It's the same thing. So your customers are not only your external customers, your internal customers. Internal customers could be your employees or it could be your supplier. So at all point in time, never ever get into fraud or manipulation because one point in time it's going to expose. Okay. So then think of the sustainability because so it's like some of the startup companies, what I've seen, yes, they offer the great salary and all, but they don't have a visibility how to execute itself. In past, some of the companies failed due to the fact that it's kind of burning the cash at the early stage, and definitely you don't have a long runway to run the business. So it's important that everything has to be sustainable in terms of sustaining your employees, your economy, your finance part. So that has to be thought. Okay. Think of the diversity and gender inclusion. So never ever limit to that. Yes, he is my relative. We should get into the organization. So the whole recruitment process has to be very meticulous. Okay. So what it means, we should not to the language barrier, or it could be it doesn't matter who from where they come. Okay. Even during these days, quite a lot of startups launched at the global level, where I know a couple of companies. The product manager is sitting in France, whereas the execution happens out of Canada. Okay, and marketing and deployment happens somewhere in APAC, in the APAC region. Okay, there are some individual contributors coming from India as well. So there is no limit. We're not limited by the regions and the borders these days, right? So there are such global companies, startup companies as well. All they're trying to synergize the best of the best talent in the world and come out with the best product. So coming to this particular, your particular venture, at least make sure that you don't get biased based on the regions, based on the gender. It has to be pure, purely based on the merit. Okay, whoever has to is deserved, he should get into this journey, and that takes you a long way. Okay. Meantime, there will be exploitation as well. It could be from multiple ways. Sometimes one of your employee turns to be a key guy and he knows that yes, without none of them are indispensable in this world. That's something you should set that as a rule number one. Moment you bring the kind of a heroism culture in the organization, and it pulls down the tempo of the other employees. And meantime, one person will start ruling, which is really not good in the health of the organization. So these are the kind of guys who starts exploiting later stage. They will come and ask hike every 3 months. Okay. And this is one of the example what I'm giving. It's not just limited to the employees. Like sometimes it could be suppliers. They will increase the price of the items if you're building some hardware and all. And they know that it's really critical for your product delivery, then they increase it by certain cents. Okay. And there has to be tricks and means to fix these kind of guys. Okay. Do your best to your employees within your limits, whatever best you can do, because end of the day, if you hold this the fort, then it takes your company for a long way. Okay. And it's important that, of course, you have to do within your limits, but take care of your employees so that they take care of your business. End of the day, employees are going to take care of the business. Okay, the quick view on the legal steps. I don't get into this much because this is something normally once you associate with one of the chartered accountant, so they'll also explain you what the procedure and register the company. But just to give a quick intro on this part, basically we need to form the what is called as a memorandum of association, and other one is a EOA. Okay. So the memorandum of association is like what company name you are registering, what are the clause for the office, okay, what are do's and don'ts for the office, who is liable for what? Okay, is there any the escalation path from the employees to the labor department? So all those things will be described in this document. Okay, and the next step is whether you have to register your company as a private limited or you have to register it as a LLP. So LLP is a kind of so you can have multiple partners, not a problem. But it's like LLP need not to report to the labor department. Okay, LLP like certain things, the strict guidelines what are there for private limited, it's not applicable to LLP. If you are doing single-handed business, then LLP makes sense. But if you have kind of the partnership model, definitely you need to go for private limited. In order to register in Startup India, both models are allowed. But what happens for the private limited companies, the audits requirements are quite stringent. But meantime, these are the key things what investors will look down the line. Okay, if you are private limited company, there are quite a lot of things relaxed for the investor. You don't even look in those things and straight away it goes for the investment. Okay. Then of course you need to set up these are all sundry part and also more of a logistic part. And you need to open a bank and set up a bank account for your company and set up the GST registration for your company. Then you're all set to fly. Okay. But these things are more hand-holded by, of course, you have to go with one of the chartered accountant and they'll take care of these parts. Okay. So this is, I think, yeah. So this the end of my quick presentation, what I tried to cover or what I gained a knowledge in last 5 years, both in terms of good experience, bad experience, building the products, in running the business, and how you can inculcate in your venture, anyone who is trying to do. But of course, the risks are directly mapped to the rewards. So bigger the risk one takes, bigger the reward comes. But it doesn't matter whether you succeed or fail. Always look failures as a learning. Definitely will succeed in your next journey. Okay. So that's all about my quick presentation. So now it's over to you. Please go ahead and ask the questions.
Thank you, sir, for presenting your valuable knowledge on startup planning. And I hope my students have been benefited from this session. You have given an idea for the startups and that is how to make the startup business plan from ground level to the to reach the success level.
Yep.
Considering both that is ethical steps and legal steps. And also you have considered all the key points for success and what are the risks during starting of a startup. And also you have given how to plan for the time execution of the plan and that is novelty in the idea and also funding, how to get the funding from the bank and all. Thank you very much for your informative session, sir. So now I kept the forum open for discussion. So if any students can have any questions, you can ask them. Sir is there. Any questions from the students, you can ask it. You can, those who are in final year, basically, you can go for startup, go for if you're having any idea. So out of this one, at least one student has got an idea for innovative idea. And if we use that one for a new startup, it will be helpful for conducting this session. Anybody?
Yeah, sir, good evening. Basaraj here.
Yeah,
yes.
good evening.
Yeah, sir, it was a clean and clear presentation about the startup. My question to you, what made you to go for this startup and with how much capital?
Yeah, that's the interesting question. Okay. The main drive for us was, at least along with me, a couple of other partners, heavily comes from the semiconductor solution which is used in the financial transactions. So the kind of chipsets which goes into the banking cards, okay, the kind of chipsets what you see that in any of the all these places, they use the card and do the payment, right? So they do insert the card and do the payment and all. So when this monetization happened, so everything started revolving around the digitization. So payment was one of the big thing, and predominantly coming from the payment and secured access kind of solution domain, core technical domain. We felt because Aadhaar was also evolving. Think of the 1.2 billion people registered on the Aadhaar, and almost 1 billion people, I think almost 90 lakh, yeah, 100, almost 1 billion, 1 billion people having the bank accounts. Think of the scale. That's exactly what is happening, right? So all payments are revolving around this. So whole idea was we thought there is a big opportunity for the digitization of the payment, or it could be any other security related topic. Okay, we thought that as an opportunity. Okay, so that we identified that as an opportunity, and of course we left our very good, handsome, fat salary jobs and jumped into this venture. Okay, and our whole idea is not to get into too much of capex investment upfront. As I told, it doesn't need also. Of course, you will not be having the immediate your salary and all, but what is possible is you can get into these cohort sessions. So it's like we translated this Qualcomm mobile platform into Aadhaar payment device, Aadhaar authentication device, where they can do KYC of the citizens, or you can do a payment using thumbprint and all. Of course, we added some novelty into that, and that has been selected by Qualcomm Semiconductors. Okay, because our main need was access to the platforms and toolings, and of course some level of access to the market as well. Okay, so that's exactly what happened in 6 to 9 months. We built complete hardware product. You can think of it's kind of a tablet form factor where it is completely designed, including the ID design of the product itself. Then we develop the complete software stack which goes and connects integrated in this device, which is Android based, which connects to the Aadhaar server and takes the user biometric identity, basically a fingerprint, and it does the verifies the Aadhaar authentication. So we're successful in building that, and that was the main drive. Mainly, it's like we thought it's a disruptive idea in the fintech, and get into the market in the right time, and get into this venture. So that made us to do this. And also the back end thought is because I personally worked in startup mode, even though as part of 100 members organization. So part of my career, I built three organizations basically, where I started with one or two guys, and eventually which got scaled up to 100, and one of the department now it is 300 plus, so kind of thing. But that's not just from the headcount perspective, but in terms of technology also. You have built the team right from ground up. You built the technology competence, which was nowhere it was there in this part of the world. And leveraging all that, you have gone through that completely. Whatever recipe is required for the startup, you are well equipped. And of course, you are not carrying that brand identity. So you have to start from the ground zero and then rebuild the whole ecosystem organization and build the team and build the product, come out with some innovative idea. Of course, it took initial 2 months just to brainstorm what to do, what product to be built. And we almost 5, 6 product we nailed down, but eventually we selected this, which got selected by one of the top-notch semiconductors, and they funded in terms of money. They gave access to their lab, and they also took us to the customer place. Only bad thing happened is a bad thing happened in the right time. So it was about to go for the production because of this Supreme Court verdict. So then you have to log the product because it was not viable anymore. But we set a different direction. Whatever few of the IPs we developed, because one of the key thing was mainly to secure these Aadhaar devices you need to generate the cryptographic keys periodically. Then our remote server has to rotate these keys which are there in the device. Okay. And we translated that platform into a kind of a like securing the IoT edge nodes. Basically, eventually you need this kind of solution in the IoT where you need to inject digital keys, newly generated keys periodically. So that turns to be one of the IP which are shown by a couple of customers good interest at the moment. Yep. Hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And just for your information, in the campus, we are setting a lab called as Idea Lab. So
Okay.
it is like a complete workstation where the student can come
Mhm.
with the idea, all the raw materials,
Okay.
and end up with a product. So it is in the initial stage right now. Just we have purchased on 3D printing right now. So still
Okay.
a
Okay.
few more equipments. Then some other that idea hackathon we are also planning.
Okay. Okay. So this is mainly for the 3D printing for the ID design and all kind of
Yes,
a mold. Okay. Okay.
fine.
That's good. Pretty good. Then I think you have PCB infrastructure already.
Yes, sir. IoT, all those things are E&C
Okay.
department and computer science
Okay. Okay.
department are looking up.
Yeah. So one of the suggestion is I think of course principal sir is there, so I also bring it to their notice. So it's important that it's like whatever these kind of uh, companies are doing, so definitely it's easy to replicate it at least in terms of selecting the ideas. Is it a right idea or not? So if there is some funding either from government or as a kind of a research cell, if some funding is available, at least if you're selecting top three innovations per year. So in that way, what happens is the maturity of the students gets increases. Of course, it takes time, but definitely what happens is students will go through this what is patentable idea, what is not patentable idea, what is the product idea. Once that happens, it's also important you target certain verticals. Like let's say that 5G is one of the innovation areas. It's a pretty fertile in terms of the innovations. Okay,
Yes.
it could be technology or it could be perennial problems, solution for the perennial problems somebody is trying to address. So what happens is in this whole thing, definitely we can make use of the senior people through the alumnus to select the idea because they are in the industry. Relevant industry guys can evaluate this idea is patentable or not, and if it is a patent, definitely patent goes to the institute. Okay, because it's the same thing. If I am working for an organization, any patent I generate, the patent goes to the organization, not to the individual. Okay. So that is the overall in terms of the portfolio of the organization itself, or it could be the institute, and eventually almost when they are out, they are worked on the niche technologies. They have gone through this what it takes to build a product kind of thing. So the maturity of these students will be definitely as close as what industry expects. Even though someone don't wants to get into the venture of entrepreneur, but definitely they are more well prepared for the industries.
Yeah, yes, sir, definitely. Definitely, we will think over it, sir. And
Okay.
one more information, just I want to share. Two of our alumni from computer science department, uh,
Mhm.
to 2021 passed out. They developed the alumni app. So it is by the name Namma.
I
Yeah,
I
Namma.
saw that. I saw that app is developed by the students
Yeah,
only.
Namma
That
BSc, Namma BSc alumni. Almost
correct.
3,800 alumni are registered. Still,
Uh-huh.
we need to
Okay.
build a long way, and so that
Okay.
connection we need to have. So I
Yeah,
request.
this is exactly what I mean the MEP product. Okay.
Yes,
It's already tested and proven
yes,
for 4,000 users, of a
fine.
scale of 4,000 users.
Yes,
And it has proven in terms of functionality and stability.
yes, sir.
So that's a good idea,
Yes.
kind of thing. Yeah.
I think you have joined or some Mamta madam was telling about there is some problem with the login like that. Definitely, I'll contact with sir.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Uh,
Madam, madam.
As already sir told, sir, that is Idea Lab. So it is funded by that is AICT and It is HRD, and also that is half of the amount has been that is sanctioned by our Sangha also.
Mhm. Okay.
So,
Okay.
and the main objective of this idea lab is to have the innovative ideas and to make it into successful one and to get the patent for that particular idea. So for
Yeah,
that,
it
we
makes
will
sense. Yeah,
establish.
yeah, yeah. Maybe some of the top 3 or 4 problem areas can be thought of. So I think this flood and weather monitoring, no, it's not so predictable at the moment. That's something one of the area can be thought of because it helps the livelihoods of the farmers and the people who stays the next to the riverside and all. So I think such areas basically which will are the burning problems of the nation, or it could be the region. To start with, even if you think of because problems are different in different regions. So North Karnataka has its own problems in terms of power and all. And the other thing is definitely we can think of now we have the AI team, mechanical branch, then you have the electronics, computer science. So it makes sense to define the what I call it as a cross product. Okay, because the mechanical guys will come and do the ID design. Okay, it could be a PCB, so which is designed by the electronics guys. Okay, it could be building the intelligence, building complete intelligence on the edge node. So this can be done by the CS guys. So if you define kind of these combined teams, no, so you can think of the bigger problems and realize the bigger products.
Interdisciplinary innovation.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
That's what we are planning for that one only in that lab. So
Okay,
hopefully,
that's very
once
good.
only all equipments have been ordered, that is purchased, then most probably from next academic year, we start for the projects have been started in doing idea labs.
Okay, that's a good move anyway. Yeah.
So what,
Yeah, overall, these are not like we can expect results next day, but putting these things, it takes a long way. Definitely, it gives good results. Over a period of time.
Sir, one more thing. Is there any provision from your end to provide internship for our students? Because nowadays AICT has made it compulsory to undergo internship for our students. So from your end, if there is a helping hand, it will be.
These for how many months basically?
Right now, those who are in final year, one month and 3 months, depending upon those who are in first year now, they have to undergo 3 months of internship program. Likewise, we have separate for first year right now. It is under NEP scheme.
Okay.
3 months. 3 months maybe it may be a single month, or it may be at a stretch 2 months. Or one more thing in the final year, there is a system called as a fifth semester. Students, half of the final year students can go internship in the 7th semester itself, and rest of the students will be in the campus. And similarly, when they come to the 8th semester, half the strength will be shared. Provision is also made.
So they are available for 6 months almost.
6 months. Yes,
months.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If any such opportunity is given, please let us know, sir.
Yeah. So in fact, when I started my company, I asked for 5 guys and I wrote a mail to because there was no response that time. So that, but anyway, let me think of this.
Sure.
First year, I feel it's too early entrance.
Yes, sir.
Because it's kind of a give and take, right? It's like they need a lot of hand holding. Unfortunately, most of the startups are not equipped in the hand holding. Okay.
Yes.
But definitely, it's like it could be to understand the system. They can start some basic validation and bring in some innovation in the validation. Then do some simple tinkering and do some implementation and all. Okay. So 3 months is ideal. That's something. Let me have a look. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Within my known network as well, because
Definitely.
quite a lot of companies are working in AIML and full stack, that kind of thing. So for CS guys, this should be fine.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Because all branch students have to go on under internship now. It is mandatory. They are having credit for it, so definitely they have to do it. So if you
Yeah.
provide an opportunity in your company or at least in your network companies, you can just let me know, sir. So it will benefit
Yeah.
for
I think this something again we can reach the wider alumni, senior
Yeah.
alumni.
Yes.
Definitely, these people should be able to help. So I think that there is a need to define the vertical for different things and bring in certain set of people who are there already in the industry. And this won't take much time. People can do it
Yes.
and contribute back, and it works as well.
Fine.
Fine. Any other questions from student side?
I didn't hear anything from students, so I hope they understood or not understood. Any questions? Please feel free to ask.
So those who are in second and third, at least if they can't understand, but later when they came out of completion of their degree, that time they will understand the value of this session, sir.
Sure.
So any
But
question?
yeah, at least if you understood some 30
Yeah.
to 40% also, it's fine. But
It's
at least
fine.
your mind starts thinking in that direction
Yeah.
rather than just joining the industry. If you have the great ideas, so it should be yours.
Any student, any questions from student side? Okay, no questions, I think, sir. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I
Thank
thank.
you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. I thank Suresh Pattar, sir, for sparing his valuable time with us in spite of his busy schedule and also some health issues. Thank you once again, sir.
Yeah. Sorry, I got sick last month. It got postponed, I think, twice
Yes,
before
okay,
we
sir.
planned for this. Yeah.
So it has been successful now.
Yeah.
I also sincerely thank our principal, Dr. S.S. Engineer, sir, who has always been a great support behind such events. Thank you, sir. I think sir has left the meeting. I am further thankful to Dr. Anil Devilgami, HOD, AIML department, and also IIC coordinator for giving an opportunity to conduct this session. Thank you, sir. I also thank Professor Basaveshwar Engineering for briefing about the alumni activities and act of our college. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
I also thank Jigjiri madam. Sir, Engineering madam has joined. Suresh, sir.
So, madam is there?
Engineering madam is. Hello.
Just see, madam is on mute because I really want to
No,
just
I have
say hi.
unmuted, sir. Hello.
Hi, madam. How are you?
Sir, I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Fine. No, I am not sir, madam. I am your student. Yeah,
I
we are from.
joined at 5:40. I joined. I came late from the college, so I joined late.
Okay. So
It
I am
is
from 96 batch, madam. 1996.
yeah. Today, Mamta told that one. I had seen. I saw I saw this event poster, but I was unable to recognize you.
Obviously, I would have put my original and this photo together. Then you would have taken quite a lot of change. Yeah. So I'll meet you personally, definitely, when I'm that side, madam.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
It was nice talking to you after a long time.
Very nice
It's
to see
almost
you progress
20
here.
years. Chilal Shetty, sir, is still there?
Yeah,
Chokimat.
there. He is here only. He is junior to us, no? He is still here. Okay, only Gimallikarjun sir retired.
Retired. Okay.
Myself and Kamla Patil madam, Suvarna Hanji. See, we are the old people
Still,
here.
okay. So major team is still there. I could
Yeah.
see.
Major team at that time, Kalmat, Kalligud, all were there.
Kalligud, Kalmat, correct.
They have left.
Kotur sir.
Kotur.
I'm in touch with Kotur sir and Manvi sir also. Recently I met Manvi sir.
Okay.
Good. So it took me back to my early days of engineering, man. Really, after talking to all you people.
Once you come to college, okay.
Sure, madam. I will plan.
When time
That side.
permits, no? When it is convenient for you, please come to college and visit the campus. Okay.
Sure, madam. Yep.
Now it has changed a lot, sir.
What happened, madam?
It was changed a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Your own place is Ramadurg, no, sir, anyhow.
Yeah, correct. But no one stays there. My brother is in Dharwad.
Yeah.
But anyway, my in-laws' place is Belgaum. I still keep visiting Ramdurg because I also do some level of farming still.
So
So
that time
we'll
you
share
visit
it.
Bagalkot, sir, once.
Hello.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do that.
Hello.
Yes, madam.
You are doing farming, no? Related to farming, any IoT equipments or any IoT designs you have made?
No, madam. In fact, we're serving one of the agri-tech IoT company of Germany. So where we built mobile apps through which you can control quite a lot of things. And also does quite a lot of AML based maneuvering in terms of weather forecasting, disease forecasting and all. But
Okay.
that was more of a service. We didn't build our own stuff because we're not scaled up or equipped for that much of funding because it's more of a fragmented market and it needs quite a lot of investment. And that could be the thing.
Just I was going through your that iClimb systems, no? There it was mentioned IoT and all that, no?
Correct. So for this customer, we did almost 3 to 4 years, which includes the soil moisture sensor. There are some special equipments. It's like where all these new kind of insects fall in as a fray, and these pictures are sent to the backend, and backend will do the image processing and identifies that what kind of disease based on the crop type. So it will kind of a prevention mechanism for the crops rather than it's like once the disease hits and then you try to control almost 10% of the productivity is gone once the disease is hit. So it's more of a preventive care than the curative care.
Real-time system there, sir? Is it real-time one?
Yes, this is a real time one. Maybe I'll give you the link. I'll share the link.
Okay.
Okay. So this all available. But similar companies have come up, few of the agri-tech companies in Bangalore as well, who is doing quite a lot of automation. It's also deployed for few of the costly crops like grapes and all. No? They've deployed the stations in Bijpur, Athni, this side. They have done that.
Okay.
So people are heading for that, especially landowners who is holding 50 acres, 60 acres.
Yeah.
Needs
For
quite a
them
lot of
it will
automation.
be okay, but for small farmers it will not be.
Correct.
This
No,
cannot
then
be.
there has to be concept of aggregation. Come together, some 10,
Yeah.
12 farmers together.
They
And
work together, no, then it will be benefit for them
correct, madam.
also.
Yeah. That's right. So just to give a information, Government of India already identified 2 states for piloting. One in Northeast, I think it is also piloted in 4 districts of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. So that is part of this doubling the farmers' income. No, they wanted to introduce this technology and see that how it really helps the farmers.
Okay.
So those pilots are going on at the moment.
Okay. Here in Bagalkot district also any such applications are deployed here in Bagalkot district?
No, at least Karnataka was not in the first charter. But I think some of the companies are there who exclusively working on agri-tech IoT for this kind of equipment. And it has become almost, it's near to $100 million company now. Okay.
Yes.
They deployed it in few of the regions, the border area of North Karnataka and Maharashtra and all.
See, for these long-term crops, I think that technology will be more useful compared to these short-term crops, I think.
It will be helpful if you put that as an infrastructure. Let's say that again, this farming community has to come together. Let's say that 40, 50, at least 20 farmers comes together, which is
Yeah.
of sizable area of 30 to 40 acres.
Hmm.
Everyone need not to put this infrastructure. It's
Yeah.
more of a sensors and gateway kind of product will pull in the all sensor data and push it
Okay.
back to the back end. And
Okay.
in terms of weather forecasting, it's same for all 10 guys, right? And
Okay.
if all guys are growing, for example, maize, the crop
Hmm.
is same. And
Hmm.
whether it is in this region or somebody else farm, as long as it predicts the disease, it's the same for other guys as well. If it
Yeah.
has hit here, it will bound to happen in next 3, 4 days in the adjacent land as well. So I think that co-farming kind of concept has to be brought in to leverage the technology. Then only it is viable in terms of the costing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's difficult because we have quite a lot of small farmers who is holding 2 acres, 1 acre, and all. Definitely for them, it is not viable.
Any government schemes are there to support such farmers, small farmers, to deploy this type of equipments, or at least for the
So
medium scale one?
what I understood is this pilot is a key. Moment this pilot happens,
Based
government
on that one, we are going to
exactly,
promote.
but definitely it's not good idea to encourage each and every farmer because
Yeah.
unnecessary it's like a waste of money. It's like buying every farmer who is holding 1 acre also they bought the tractor. It's of no use ideally
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But this kind of co-farming model they are going to bring in and put the infrastructure so that it helps that complete community around the that region. At least aggregate 100 acres, 200 acres, and put this infrastructure. And already it is this model is used for irrigation. Right?
Yeah.
I think in one of the place in North Karnataka only they did this.
Okay.
They did, but for disease prediction and all, there will be a common infrastructure going to be put based on the success story of these pilots.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank also that is Vijay madam and all other ISSL members for supporting in organizing this session. Thank you all. Last but not least, I'm very much thankful to all my dear friends, students for their patience listening. Thank you. Once again, I thank one and all. Thank you very much, sir, for your
Thank you. Yep.
session.
Thank you. It was a nice moment for me to connect back with the institute.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, could I ask something, ma'am? Ma'am,
Hi.
can I,
Yes, yes.
sir, good evening, sir.
Hi, yes.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Sir, rather than we are developing technology, sir, we can go back to our ancient times when Indians were the greatest farmers, means they were known to be the best farmers in the world, sir. They were first, we only started agricultural practice, sir, and we were the most, we were more far ahead in agriculture, sir. So now we are only thinking about the quantity of the food we are growing, sir. We are not focusing on the quality of food, which will affect the population also, sir.
Yeah, if you see that that's really a good question. So in the interest of where we are heading, okay. So one side you see that there is a big growth story on the organic farming. Already it's happening. Okay. So digital bringing the digital technology it doesn't limit to the whether it's organic or inorganic. Okay. So think of the basic thing. If you are able to do the soil testing or the kind of organic manure you need to decide, so it's like that revolution, digital revolution can happen on the digital farming side as well, right?
Sir,
So
do you,
which could be securing the seeds. Like let me give an example. How do I know that seeds coming to my land, they are indeed organic seeds or not? Today there is no proof of truth, right?
yes, sir.
One is land is verified, but in terms of the seeds, what I'm getting, how do I know that these seeds are coming from certified lab and they are indeed organic? But there is a technology to do that, right? So think of these bags itself is equipped with some kind of RFID tag, okay, and which is not tearable. I'm just giving you an example, which is not tearable. If you tear it, then it's gone. You can't identify it. So imagine all these seeds bags are whitelisted, and you as a farmer, you and me as a farmer, who have an application because anyway phones are equipped with NFC or RFID reader kind of stuff, right? So I just read this and it goes and connects to that company server, which will validate and say that yes, the seeds what you have got indeed genuine or not, right? So if you bring in that kind of the disruption, it's already happening. It's for your information, it's happening. One is in terms of the pre-harvesting. How do you ensure that everything is organic? Okay, certified labs comes and certifies that your land is organic, right? So your land is digitized and it is attached as organic. Then you have digitized whatever seeds you have got is organic, right? Now what you grow, that is also tagged with digital technology. Let's say you grow some millets or those kind of things, which are packed in special bags, right? And it is tied and I can track it. I as a consumer, when I got it, I can see that from which farm it has come. It is really coming from certified farm or not, and it's really the farm is really using this used certified seeds or not. You can establish the complete truth, right?
Right, sir.
Because in this whole organic farming, there is quite a lot of cheating also happening because there is no way to trace it. So this is one of the thing you can think of what I told. So the technology, it's like doesn't tell that you use the fertigation, you do the inorganic farming or you do the organic farming. So end of the day, the days have come. Everyone is going back to the ancient way of the land preparation, right, and agriculture and all. And technology will help in terms of establishing the truth of real organic. Is
Thank
that
you, sir.
answered your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Satisfied.
Okay.
Thank you, Mallikarjun, for your question. Hope any other questions from students? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank
sir.
you. Bye then. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhima, sir. Thank you very much.